Let me tell you, I cannot wait for you all to meet today's guest on the podcast. Every time I have the privilege of walking into Lucy Laney School, I almost invariably bump into Mr. Morgan McDonald. Mr. McDonald, as the kids call him. Mr. McDonald works at Laney, and he also volunteers his time and with his own resources and, started a 501c3, runs the Lucy Laney Boxing Academy. He is a brilliant boxing coach who's coached many champions. But I think my favorite part about Mr. McDonald, my favorite thing I observe about him is the way that no matter what's happening in the building, no matter what kind of chaos is happening, no matter what a student has done or not done or refused to do or what state of mind a child is in, when Mr. McDonald shows up to talk to a child, he just drops right into presence with that kiddo. He gets down on his knee or he gets on their level and he sees them so fully. And every time I get to witness it, I think and wish that every child in Minneapolis public schools could experience being seen by Mr. McDonald. And today, y'all get to spend some time with him and learn more about him and his work and what motivates him and how you can support him. And I just am so looking forward to this conversation. I hope you'll join us. Hey, Mr. McDonald, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So, I've already talked and told our viewers all about you, but I want you to tell me a little bit more about how you came to Lucy Laney School.
How I came to Lucy Laney School or how Lucy Laney School came to me.
Listen, it's your story.
It was universe, the Most High, whatever you want to call it, but I think this is my path. From how I was raised, what I went through, what I haven't went through, it was perfect. When I first came to Minnesota, I worked at a charter school, Wise Charter School. Shout out to Wise Charter School, and there, at the time, me and my wife, we was like, we're gonna buy a house. So I'm like, I gotta have a basement, and the house that we found was in North Minneapolis. So I'm like, okay. Let me try to find a job closer to the house, and Lucy Laney chose me. And, it chose me, and I'm glad it chose me because the particular kids that in the school, that's my cup of tea, and I've seen those kids before. How about that? I've seen those kids before in my dreams as a kid. I've been there with them. They just don't know it.
Okay, so why boxing? Why did you start a boxing academy?
I did every sport as a kid. Boxing was a sport that it hit more than just the hand. It was more than just boxing. It was something so I used sports as a kid to block out a lot of stuff that I was dealing with.
Yeah. Single
parent home, mom was on drugs. So basketball, football, hockey, from Chicago, but those were my things, like my getaway. That was my clear mind. So boxing being such a sport that it is, that it helps out with everything, confidence, strengthen the body, mind, and soul. But it was a way that they can push through a lot of stuff and it'd be safe. So that's the reason why I chose boxing. And it was a sport that was kind of scared to be played with, and being a mentor, I looked at it as another way to mentorship. So I used a crumb to give a crumb, maybe.
I've heard you we've talked about this, about how you really see boxing as a way to share a set of experiences with children, to open up their minds to possibilities, to take them places they might not go, to talk to them on the way about America, about how you see the world, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, okay. One of the things I admire the most about the way you work with children is the way that you step right into presence. So I know at Laney, there's like, you could have walkies going on. There could be things happening during the day. You could have a lot of things on your plate. You might be thinking about, the boxing academy, or you're going on a trip, or you're getting kids scheduled for this or that. But when a kid needs you, you just put everything on hold. And I'm so curious about your process. Like, how do you do that?
Sometimes I don't even know how to do it.
Really?
Honest truth. When I was a kid, I know I needed somebody. It was just me and my mom. It wasn't really just me and my mom, but in the household, it was just me and my mom. There was mentors around me, but when I needed somebody, I needed somebody. You know what I mean? And so, think about that every day. Think about every kid I come across, seeing them, knowing what they go through. When I drop everything, it's because they need me to be there. So that's why I do that. It's a lot of kids in the community that need a Mr. McDonald. I ain't the only one, but I give it my all because I needed somebody like me as a kid.
So you just take all the to-do lists and you say, I'm gonna let this go for a minute. I mean, I really do want to know what happens because like I know, like, as a parent, right? Like, I can be thinking about an email, or I'm thinking about work, or I'm thinking about this. And then like my kids will call me out on it. They'll be like, you are not paying attention to me. And then it's like, what, because like that work's going to be there, right? Like that work's always going to be there. But like, is there how do you because I've watched you do it so many times that I know it's a practice for you.
People don't know I'm about to be 40 years old.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to say I've done this a long time, but I've been in this system for a long time, not just as Mr. McDonald, but as Morgan McDonald.
Yeah.
So that's my secret. As Morgan McDonald, I knew the system. As Mr. McDonald, I know the system, and I know what Morgan needed, and Mr. McDonald delivers that. So the to-do list, right? People don't know my to-do list is long. And sometimes I do mess up and not get to my to-do list.
But okay. So and I would say I mess up and get the to-do list done, and sometimes I'm not present for my kids, right? Like, what's the mess up? What's the mess up?
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. The to-do list, I suffer to-do list because of the present, right? Honest truth. And that could be the present being not just my kid.
Yeah. It
can be one of my student athletes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? One of my student athletes shot. You know what I mean? Yeah. That need me in the present. So like to-do list, like not just grieving for that student. You know what I mean? I'm grieving, and now to-do list, what about my kids? They grieving too. I'm grieving. The whole community grieving. So I always talk to my kids about like walking forward, and making sure everything behind me is okay, right? Right? And so when I say behind me, that's my kids too behind me. But I got my back on my kids. That's me putting my back on my kids. If you think about it. Yeah, I'm present, but my back towards my kids. So sometimes I do got to walk backwards.
Yep.
Just to show my kids, look, I see you too.
Yeah.
But we got a goal. We got a path, and sometimes I don't know why I'm Mr. McDonald, but I know why I'm Mr. McDonald.
Yeah.
I can take it. Yeah. I can do it, and it is what it is.
So I have one more question. I might have more than this, but if what do you wish everyone knew you needed more of? And what I mean by that is like, maybe I could even ask it another way. If you could wave a magic wand and you had what you needed to have Lucy Laney Boxing Academy and your students at Lucy Laney to be able to so you weren't thinking about the to-do list or like the stuff or like the next grant or where you're going to get the money for this road trip. You know what I'm saying? Like, what would you do? How would it feel if you could just be with the kids and and America would just support that work. What would that be?
Listen, that would be magical.
Yeah.
The reason why it'd be magical because, so my thing is experience is everything. That's my quote. Yeah. Experience is everything, and I really believe that because it'll mold you. It'll mold you in such a way you wouldn't even believe. So, let's say I did have a magic wand.
Yeah.
What Mr. McDonald does now will be whatever they had on Wakanda. Whatever they had on Wakanda, that's what it'd be. It'd be Mr. McDonald on whatever they had on Wakanda. It'd be every kid to get to experience exactly what the kids that have experienced it with me just doing it on my back. I'm doing it on my back. So it'd be more for me to give. And what I've done 100,000 miles on my van by myself, if I had a magic wand, I wouldn't have got stranded in Wisconsin and have to hustle up on 2,900 just to get it fixed for the check engine light to come right back on. You know what I mean? So magic wand, what the babies would be able to get experience like none other. I know I'd be able to help more kids if I had a magic wand. Help more families. Help more boxing teams. Help more coaches. I don't know. Help more schools. Help more community centers.
What are the? Can you just talk a little bit about what the assets are? Like, what are the things about your kids you wish everybody you see them? I know you see them. I know you see them for their strengths. And a lot of times when we talk about Black children in America, we're only talking about their deficits.
And that's crazy.
And it's crazy.
But check it.
But I want to know, what are the things about them that you just know that they are, that you see in them?
So I'm gonna just talk.
Okay.
And one man's trash, another man's treasure, right? So I'm gonna go off that. So the negative look upon these babies, right?
Yeah.
Not knowing that negative look is like so strong, and and there's some kids that has figured that out in North Minneapolis, that if they tap into the keep going part and the perseverance, when they get older, the story that they will have, it'd be similar to Mr. McDonald's.
Wow.
Because if they take everything that they go through, which society looks down on them, bash them about it, not knowing that really is going to make them so strong if they can come out of it.
Yeah.
Diamond in the rough. It's going to make them so strong. They just don't know, and having a Mr. McDonald hopefully can help them see it. Yeah. And I share my experience with the babies, and I keep it so raw, so fresh, and I think they appreciate that.
Yeah.
I'm not talking over their head. I'm talking directly at their souls and future selves.
Yes. Yes.
And to know, like, what you're going through right now, I promise you, let me tell you, I have a friend that went through the same thing, and right now, they CEO. You know what I mean? So the strength and power that you have, I promise you one day, you're going to use it for good or you're going to use it for bad.
Because we've talked about that you really believe in, like, every student gets an experience and every student can overcome given the right person to believe in them. That's like really, to me, that's like at the core of why you do what you do.
Most definitely.
Okay, so kind of one final question. Do you have like one story about Minneapolis public schools and an impact that it could be a student, it could be an educator, it could be a building, but one like Minneapolis public schools story that like specifically comes to mind that you would just want to share?
There's a lot of different ways I can go with this, but if this is going to be something that people going to watch, right?
Yeah.
All right. Minneapolis public school has allowed a student that went through struggles with so many different things. Minneapolis Public School has allowed a student that dealt with so much that our babies go through. They gave a guy from Chicago the opportunity to display everything that he went through, goes through, might go through, and be able to present that in a way to help as many people as he can, or could, or will, or have, or hasn't. But it gave a guy an opportunity to reach kids in a way, not just as a student support specialist, not just as a mentor, a father, a boxing coach. I was an SEA at one point. Mm-hmm. I was one of the first series, which is a special education assistant with resource intervention. So I did a lot of data, and those were one of the crucial times of my educational years, because I was able to touch the kids when I first started Minneapolis Public School. I still touch those kids these days. They are now seniors.
Yeah.
They seniors now. Yeah. I had the opportunity to start off with a kid in Minneapolis Public School, and now, a couple of weeks ago, I was asked to bring him out for senior night. This kid has been with me. I had the opportunity to foster this kid, to love on this kid, and just show this kid there's some good people out there. So, Minneapolis Public School has helped someone that went through so much pain, help other kids that go through similar pains without them even knowing it.
Yeah. Part of why I wanted to start this podcast was that I get the treat. I get I always say that, like, I can't believe I'm so lucky that I get to meet folks like you every day and to see close up the dedication, the determination, and the commitment you make to the children of this city. And it feels selfish to keep it to myself. And so thank you for sharing yourself with more people. I think to be able to watch you work with children is a gift that should be viewed. I've told you that, but I just want to say thank you for taking the time, for sharing your story, for being on the podcast. But most importantly, I want to thank you for the way that you show up every single day for the kids that you and I care about.
Appreciate you. I appreciate you even having me on this, because I usually don't be talking. I'm a doer. I'm a doer, so I don't be talking. I'm just a doer. So thinking about coming on here, had a little anxiety, but it actually made me go a place that I haven't went in a long time. As far as like the think process, exposing myself, like, you know what I mean? I don't think about that. I just think about helping people. And Yeah. So thank you for taking the risk. I know I appreciate it. I don't take your time or your trust lightly. Thanks so much for being on. No problem.
Okay. Now we're